Hello, White Sox fans, and welcome into another edition of the Sox On Tap podcast, presented by On Tap Sportsnet. It's Jonnie and here, alongside NWI Steve, unfortunately discussing another tragic White Sox game. Steve, I hate meeting like this. This sucks.
Jonathan, I like things much better when we meet with positive vibes, but right now there's not a whole lot to be positive about.
It's rough, especially when you see a game that was fairly cleanly played last night. I think it was a solid game overall, and you and Tony got to talk about a win here on the Sox on Tap post-game show. And then you go out and you see the circus. The circus shows up, and it was a game that the Royals are like trying to give you, and you'll get into that in a little bit here. And you flounder your opportunity, and then it's almost over before it starts because your starting pitcher's not ready to go, and they cook him for runs in the first inning, and then it leads to questions here. The rest of the game, they keep piling on, and it leads to questions here. Is, so-and-so cooked? We're going to get into that, but I'll answer just preemptively right now. I'm cooked. You're cooked. Listeners tuning in, you're all cooked if you sat through White Sox baseball this year. Jason Benetti and Steve Stone are cooked. Lance Lynn is cooked, and the White Sox are cooked. That's where we stand right now, Steve. It's sad.
I mean, it's a very sad state of affairs, with as overcooked as everybody is surrounding this organization right now. I don't know how much longer the restaurant is going to be able to stay in business.
We're going to burn down here pretty soon. So hopefully we got some good insurance.
The reviews are just not great at the moment here.
Oh, not great, Bob, at all. All right. Before we get into it, a little housekeeping here. You know the drill. On Tap Sportsnet on YouTube. That's where you need to subscribe so you don't miss any of these shows. Make sure you press the like button on them. We appreciate that. And jump in the comment section. We'd love to have you air your grievances about the White Sox. Every day can be December 23rd here. Think of the Sox on Tap post-game show comment section as that. So, and again, follow social media at Sox on Tap and at On Tap Sportsnet. That's out of the way. It was Lance Lynn Day, Steve, and this is going to be a big topic for us. I know there's some other things offensively that happened even before this, but Lance is the topic here and partially the inspiration for the episode title, unfortunately, because it's becoming very concerning. 7.51 ERA is now highest among all starters in the majors after his rough outing today. It's been nothing but rough outings, maybe except for that one-off showing that was more of the outlier against Tampa Bay. 5 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs, all of them earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 home runs allowed tonight. It was bad. Okay.
Nothing is working. He's going out there consistently. He's not able to locate any of his pitches with consistency. He's not getting ahead in counts with regularity. And even when he is getting ahead in counts, he's just struggling to put guys away. I know he had that couple start stretch, it started out okay. The first 3-4 innings in Toronto, and then he had the start against Tampa that you mentioned here earlier. And you're thinking, okay, maybe he's getting back to being Lance. And then ever since then, it's just like he's reverted back to this guy that can't put anybody away. And I've talked a lot about the pitch mix and everything else that is going on right now. It's just nothing is working here. One of the concerns I had coming into the season was the decline in velocity, and we're seeing that right now. He's not 95, 96 anymore. And a lot of guys, when they go through the entirety of their career as relative power pitchers, and you don't have 95, 96 anymore, a lot of guys don't know how to pitch 91, 92, 93, because there's a big variance there. People might look at that and say, it's only 2 miles an hour, but 2 miles an hour difference at the major league level, that's a lot. And if you don't know how to manipulate the baseball, if you are not precise with your command and your control, bad things can happen. And that's what we're seeing with Lance Lynn right now.
Right, and it's amplified too when you're very fastball heavy pitcher, and even the other ones, the cutter, right? That is all of the fastball ilk, and all those problems that you just mentioned there, the location, leaving too many pitches over the plate. I think that's a common theme among all of White Sox pitchers, not just Lance Lynn. However, that especially creeps up on him when you're talking about just the style of pitcher that he is there. So it's, it raises a question. You're looking at, I saw a tweet, I forget exactly who it was, but if you made this tweet, I saw it and I wanted to bring it up here on the show. And Lance is dangerously close to the numbers that Dallas Keuchel posted before he got DFA'd. 8 starts in, and the ERA is just slightly better, but that's like 7.88 to 7.51 through 8 starts. That's cause for concern here. And guess what? There's not even help on the way because Davis Martin, who would be your, who was your fill-in guy last year until Johnny Cueto came around. He's on the IL in Charlotte with forearm strain. We all know what that means.
Yeah, that's not what you want to hear. There was a lot of talk about, could Davis Martin potentially be the number 5 starter coming into the season? Most likely looking as that swing guy, that number 6 man in the rotation, first guy up from Charlotte. Now, if he's not even an option, I don't know what the hell you do here at this point. I mean, Sean Burke, I guess maybe, but that's not inspiring a whole lot of confidence here. And to your point about the comparison between Lance and Diamond Dallas Keuchel, the big difference and why I don't think there's as much backlash against Lynn right now is because in the post games, Keuchel was always very quick to point the finger and not the thumb. Lance is very quick to call himself out and say, I'm pitching like shit right now. I've been dog shit. That's all fine and good and everything. But at some point, you've got to turn around. You've got to start executing, and you've got to start being a better pitcher. Because every 5 days, if I just keep hearing, I'm dog shit, I need to be better, I'm not putting the team in a position to win, guess what? After a while, it just falls on deaf ears.
Right. I agree 100%. And he had that interview after the Toronto start with foul territory. And I thought those comments there, when you go and see that outing like against the Rays, you kind of thought maybe, like you had said earlier, maybe just a little bit starting to get back to a little bit of the old Lance, at least inching towards that, making progress. And then it feels like it's all just erased when you go and see an outing like this today. So rough day for Lance on the bump. But the guy on the other side definitely wasn't a stellar, outing for him either. Did take us through what the White Sox squandered today.
You look at that first inning. Tim leads off the game with a walk. Andrew Benintendi gets another walk in there. So right away, you're feeling pretty good. You're like, okay, the offense putting together some good plate appearances right now.
8 pitches, right?
Right.
Start
right.
All balls. Yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time the White Sox ever did that? I mean, you got to go back, to the 1940s to see something like that. So you're thinking, okay, you know what? We're going to see some good approach at the plate here today. And old nemesis Brad Keller, they're going to get him. And then they squander that opportunity. And then what happens, as so often does, you don't take advantage of a team. The next half inning, they go and they take advantage of you. And we've seen that far too often with this group here in the 2023 season. And then that second inning, they load the bases with nobody out, and they only score a run because of a double play. You had a chance to get right back into that game right there. Brad Keller was begging you.
Yep.
He was begging you to fucking light his ass up because he wasn't throwing strikes, and you couldn't get the goddamn job done.
It's make me sick, Steve. Make me sick. It really, all the wasted opportunities. There were a couple other innings too, in which they left 2 men on base. It looked like they didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be at the plate. Hanser Alberto drove in the lone run. And when Benetti at that point, I believe he said something, oh, well, the White Sox, chip into that Kansas City lead. And it's like, did anyone have any confidence that they were going to actually, extend further into that? Hell no. I didn't. When you saw the early portion of the game there, you're talking about first the squander opportunity and then second again. I think everybody needs a reminder that I believe this is still the stat. I know it was from at least a couple years ago. The most runs are scored in the first inning. Can we please at least acknowledge that on both sides of the ball? Your pitcher, be ready. I know it's, there's a reason why that's the case, but you got to be able to limit damage there. You got to come out ready to go, right? And then offensively too, that's time to go and jump and tack on guys. The opponent there. It's absolutely frustrating. And then you get this game in this whole sense of where it feels like it's over before it even started. And that's what really chaps my ass, because then you see this slop later in the game. And not that it mattered, because it was already out of reach. The White Sox weren't coming back, but you got Gavin Sheets shuffling around in the corner with the ball. Granted, not his fault that he's playing out there, but you see the slop there. You see a wild throw over to first base, and then you see a drop pop up, and then you see Hanser Alberto usually, like, I would say a guy that when they brought him in, like, you thought, okay, well, this guy's going to be a professional and like a, aware of the situations, at least, even if he's not a great run producer or anything like that. And what does he do? He half-ass lazy tags Salvador Perez for a force out, for a tag out, while you got Vinny Pasquantino running home, and that run just it adds on another one. Once again, that made it 8-1. So it doesn't matter in terms of that, but in terms of being locked in and looking like you give a shit and knowing that this team is still capable of playing clean baseball, it feels like everybody's checked out at that point, and that's what really grinds my gears.
What did we hear about in Glendale, Arizona for 6 weeks? That this team was going to be fundamentally sound, that they were going to come ready to play every night. Although, listen, first 7-10 start this coming Friday. So I guess maybe, this Friday they'll be ready to kick somebody's ass.
Right. And I need to give a shout. It's been a while since we gave a Sox on Tap shout out here, but Nick Morawski on Twitter, he will not let anyone forget about those quotes. He is right there with the screenshots as soon as this kind of stuff starts spiraling out of control, and the exact opposite of what Pedro Grifol preached, what Rick Hahn has preached, all of that kind of stuff. He's right there with it. So that's Sox on Tap shout out. Nick Morawski. I read those again today, and while it made me furious, it also made me laugh a little bit. So,
but remember, Jonathan, there's not an accountability problem within the White Sox organization.
Right? Yeah,
certainly not.
Yeah, you got Kenny, dude. It's from all sources. You go straight down the line there. Obviously, we know the Jerry stuff. You go to Kenny, like you had just said, with the accountability. The Rick Hahn with the that was another one Nick posted tonight. The in the negative fan base always seemed to hop up in the comment section and you get the attention there. And then you got Grifol talking about how it's going to be, we're going to play with energy, we're going to play with passion, play the game the right way, and they are playing the game like it's a throwaway on a backfield.
And if anything, they just sound like the fucking Three Stooges.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be real about this, because everything that they have said collectively coming into this season, the entirely opposite thing has happened through this point here, as they are now, what are they now? 13-25. Is that, I mean, I know it's 12 games under, but hey, Benetti had to give the shot, they're only 6.5 back, in the division. Shut the fuck up with this already. If I have to hear one more fucking time about they're only 6.5 back in the AL Central, you're 12 fucking games under 500. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in that, having anger about that. But Steve, I really do genuinely. If you could just explain obviously that speaks for itself there. But in terms of catching up and what they would need to do, because I think you explained it a little bit on Twitter, but give it to our listeners here. I want everybody to hear it.
Okay, let's think about this realistically. If you think 85 wins is what it will take to get this division, it might not even take 85 wins. It might only take 82 wins. So if it's 82 wins, the Sox have to win 70 more games at this point. They have to play 20 games over 500. Does anybody in their right mind think that this team is going to play 20 games over 500 the rest of the way, based off of what you've seen to this point? You can talk all you want about Boob Nightingale's article about the 2019 Washington Nationals that were 12 games under 500, got hot, and won the World Series. You know what the difference is between the 2023 White Sox and the 2019 Washington Nationals? Trey Turner, Juan Soto, Steven Strasburg, who was healthy, Ryan Zimmerman, actual superstars, guys you could count on.
Right. Wasn't that Strasburg's just like monster year before he was cooked for good? Yeah.
It's just it's unbelievable.
I want to put this in numbers here, because you keep hearing the 6.5 back, and I don't know, it was still going in extras by the time we jumped on this podcast, but with San Diego, Minnesota, what's going on there? I know people are watching that and wondering what's going on here, but like I said, I just wanted to explain this and air this out here, because that's a good point on, how they have to play. And I don't think they have the capability to do that, as our comment Joseph says in here. Appreciate you. And then we also got what you had said. So if you were to get back into it, what did you say? 16-4 stretch, and then we can talk. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Seriously, I want to get numbers out there.
Yeah. Because if you get a 16-4 stretch, that'll get you to 500. I don't want
Okay.
any discussion about this until they're at 500, because no matter how much people want to dress this up and want to talk about how bad the AL Central is, and believe me, it's not good by any stretch of the imagination. These teams
Right.
are all dog shit, which makes this that much more infuriating. No team has ever won a division title with a losing record. Think about that. As bad as the AL Central is, as much shit as this division has caught for the 30 years that it has been in existence, at no point has a team ever won a division title with a losing record. The closest was an 83 and 79 St. Louis Cardinals team in 2006. So please spare me this bullshit about, you might not even have to be 500 to win the division. Fuck off with all of this.
Right. All right. I just wanted to air that out because I got frustrated hearing that too. But I saw your takes on it there. So I'm glad we brought it from the Twitter sphere into our podcast here. So thank you for that, Steve. I want to talk about a factor that will prevent them from even trying to get on that run to, catch fire and get to that point where we can even talk about that and be concerned about games back and, realistically, right, with a shot here. Okay. It was a quote that was from Pedro Grifol on before Tuesday's game, and it was this. Stop me if you've heard this before. We can't continue to dig ourselves an even deeper hole. We have to make a move here soon. We've had opportunities to do that. We just have to take advantage of them. The key is to continue to play hard, get our guys healthy, and when we get them healthy, stay healthy. A, where have you heard that before? And B, difficulty level, impossible, not going to happen. Get healthy, stay healthy. Those two terms never going to happen because we're the Chicago White Sox.
The next time the Chicago White Sox are able to have a modicum of health with a team, with this current roster composition, will be the first time since Herb Schneider left. So let's be real about this here. And I got into some heat with some people on twatter.com a couple of days ago because I was telling people that this shit does legitimately look like it's over. And there's very little reason for optimism right now. And then it turned into, they're going to get Moncada back, and they're going to get Liam Hendricks back, and they're going to get Garrett Crochet back. Yes, because those two, late inning middle relievers, that's really going to move the needle a lot. And Yohan Moncada, okay, he'll come back. Guess what? He's got a protruding disc in his back. Okay. I work with spinal surgeons every fucking day. I've had multiple conversations with these guys over the last 2 weeks here. This is not an issue that is going to go away, and it can flare up at literally any point. So he could come back, make the slightest movement, make a slide, try to avoid a tag, and that thing can flare up again. So if you are thinking that you are going to get Yohan Moncada healthy for the remainder of the season, it will be great if that happens. But to count on that, to believe that that's going to happen, if you honestly think that I've got some beachfront property in Siberia, I would love to sell you.
Yeah. Others on the injured list too. You got Jake Berger there. And I think, that something was minor enough to where he will be back at some point, and he'll be back and hopefully hitting at the same level that he was before. But that's also a concern. What if it takes him a little while to go and get back into the swing of things there? There's so much volatility involved with this, and that approach that you just hear there. I got to take a step back, because what else is Grifol going to say? He's missing key guys. What do you, of course you're missing those guys. Yeah. So I don't blame him for saying it, but us hearing it again as White Sox fans, it goes back to the broken record, the what Tony said, what preseason, he said, this car, I bought this used car from the salesman before. I don't think I want to go back and get it again. So that's just where I'm at when I heard that quote. We've got another quote that I want to dive into a little bit here. And it was Luis Robert prior to today's game, and it was talking about, information that he digests when it comes to plate approach. And we don't need to go too deep on this, but the gist of it was that he checks. I just checked the speed of pitches that the pitcher has. The pitcher that I'm facing that day. There's too much information that I don't like to look at. The simpler, the better for me. Once you're at home plate, you can't be thinking of all that stuff. And then you go out and see, obviously he's been on a tear to start May. So it's like, okay, well, it's working right now. And then you go out and see a night like tonight and he goes 0 for 4 with 4 Ks and looks absolutely stupid and is chasing sliders out of the zone. I hope he looks at it for the bullpen pitchers too. I mean, that might be a little bit helpful, but this just kind of screams to me. I know you're going to talk about volatility here, but this just kind of screams to me just trying to ride the raw talent. And he's lucky that he has so much of it that he can even have these spurts, right?
100%. I mean, that's the mindset of a guy that is just used to getting by because he was the most talented player on the field pretty much his entire life until he got to the corner of 35th and Shields. And that's just simply not the case anymore. And that mindset and that approach that he has, if I just want to know the velocities of this pitcher and what pitches he throws, that's why you see these wild swings across the performance spectrum from him, where he'll look like one of the 5 best players in the sport for 7 to 10 days at a time. And then you'll see a 15-game stretch where he goes 5 for 75. Because of that, because you're not taking in all of the information. And look, I'm sure there are guys out there that have that same approach and that same mindset and have been very successful throughout the course of their careers. Not everybody is different. There are plenty of people out there that suffer from information overload, not just in baseball, but in any facet of life. You think about any profession, information overload, it is a real thing. Okay. So I'm not going to totally discount that, but I think in his case in particular, this just shows the wild swings in performance, because if he's just thinking about it, okay, this guy's just got fastball slider and this is the velocity band that he's on. Why do you think we see him swinging over the top of so many sliders down and away with consistency? Because that's all he's focused on.
Right. While it's frustrating when you see the results like that, like you just laid out, and what we saw tonight, like I said, the 4 strikeouts and some of the wild chases, that it's just not even a competitive swing there. That's where it gets really frustrating there. You know what though? I'm honestly glad he said it, because now we just know a little bit more. It's not, you have at least some insight into the thought process there. So I do, at least I will say, it's, like I said, I wish these guys were doing everything they possibly could to want to win a baseball game, but I'm glad we know. So I do appreciate the honesty there. And then it also points me to the support staff, and the White Sox aren't known for having great, any of that, their analytics, support staff, any of that. But if you're in an organization like the Rays, don't you think they'd put together maybe a little diagram, something for him that would be the most pertinent info, and the things that, okay, we're going to simplify this. We're going to distill it down. Okay, you don't like hearing this and this. We might mention it to you in the hitters meeting, but then here you go. Here's your chart for today. And, here's where he's going to really try and nab you here. Here's what you got to look for. And then, here's where he misses. Here's where you can take advantage. In this county, he likes to throw this. And, just like I said, distill it down to as simple as it possibly could be. And you have staffers that are working with him on it to be able to put together the best plan that both works for him, so he's not overloaded with information at the plate. But then he also at least has an insight, and it's not just free swinging, looking like he's absolutely lost up there. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think you look at organizations like the Rays, like the Dodgers, like the Barbs. Those are organizations that are consistently successful because they are able to more effectively decipher information that is available. And look, these teams all pretty much have the same data and the same information, but it's how that information gets deciphered. But then almost as importantly is how that information gets articulated to the players here. And what you were talking about is
communication.
Right. How is that going to be broken down to the individual, and how is it going to be customized for them? Okay, if he doesn't want all of this information, okay, these are the key points that we're going to really focus on, and we're really going to drive home with him, and do so in a consistent, clear, concise manner, so he knows this is what I need to be focused on here,
right,
against this particular pitcher on this particular day. And like you, I have no confidence in the White Sox analytical support staff to be able to do that effectively.
And while I did just dump on them there, and obviously there needs to be better infrastructure there. I think we've all known that, though, and it all goes back up to the top. And we've had numerous discussions, extended ones on Sunday Funday. So I don't want to get into all of that right now. But as we did that, when I go and look at just some other players up and down this lineup, when healthy, right? But I look at a guy like Jake Berger. and there's the story about the home and road splits with him and what was going on and some of the technology that was available to him at guaranteed rate field versus not available to him on the road. And people were wondering, is that a result in the splits and any of that? But what that tells me is that at least at home, there's some resources at home, because that's how we operate here as White Sox. However, there are resources enough to be able to go and prop yourself up and get yourself on a hot streak. Start seeing the ball so you can crush the ball really well. And Jake Berger applied that because he was hot as hell that stretch before he went on the IL, right? I know he came back down to earth a little bit right before it, but man, that was a good 2 weeks where he was really, really mashing the ball. And a lot of that coincided with some of those home games there. So it's not like it's absolutely impossible. I feel like it's, in addition to the problems of the staff not being able to communicate it, there's also a want to problem from coming from the player's side. So I want to say the blame is not evenly split there, but there is blame to go around on both sides. That'd be my takeaway from all of this after digesting all of that information. Oh, wow, I took in information, Steve. Didn't get overloaded.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, because one of the things that Berger had talked about was that he was trying to get some of the other guys on the roster to utilize some of that technology, trying to, get guys like Gavin Sheets to be more adaptive to what he was using, some of the tools that he was using at home. And so it's like, you don't even have, a consistent approach within the organization at home as far as, okay, we're going to use this or we're not going to use it. This is going to be a standardized process. Or, I mean, again, you look at the successful organizations, you can't tell me that the Dodgers or the Rays or the Barbs, that they don't have standardized processes in place, whether you're at home, whether you're on the road, across that entire roster, because those teams are consistently a machine. And there's a reason for that.
Right. Man. All right. I think we gotta get wrapping up here. So I think I'm going to summarize that and tie it in with the theme of our episode, is that White Sox infrastructure, we all knew this, but it's cooked, just like we all are here. All right. Moving on. Steve, there is one little chaser I've got for you. We've talked a lot of negative here, but unfortunately, that's where the White Sox leave us. However, down on the farm, a couple of rehab assignment outings to talk about tonight. Crochet, 2/3 of an inning with the K, and Liam Hendricks closed out the game. It was not an actual save because Charlotte was up big, but 1 inning, 1 strikeout there. Good news on that front. Wanted to acknowledge it because that's about the only positive bit I got for you tonight.
Yeah, and I think we're getting really close to Liam getting back up to the corner of 35th and Shields here. They talked about when he began the rehab assignment that he was going to need 4 to 5 appearances. So I'm almost wondering, was today's 4th?
I believe I saw that he was scheduled again to throw Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
That's what I want to say. That was from one of the beats today.
Okay.
So,
because I was almost wondering if maybe they were going to set this thing up to have him come back up north for Friday when they return home.
Right. Yeah. That'd be cool. I think I would guess the Cleveland series after that might be.
That could well be the case. Yeah.
If that is another, if that is indeed true. Once again, that was just an in passing scroll that I saw. The
big news if true.
Yeah, right. I was just trying to scramble to get ready for the show, but I believe I did see that from either Merkin or DVS on the old Twitter machine. So, it's gonna be an unbelievable night when Liam does eventually come back. I can't wait for that. It'll be a nice positive for us, like I said, because this is, we get down to this end of this episode. This is quite literally the only positives I have for you. It's sad that we're here, but that's so White Sox.
Yeah, then you look at Garrett Crochet. He's thrown the ball really well so far in Birmingham and then now up in Charlotte. And he looks like he's really beefed up here during the course of his rehab assignment. So, whatever kind of performance enhancers that he happens to be on, if he would like to take down my information for a friend, of course, not for me. I know that over here at On Tap Sportsnet, we have a very strict, thorough substance abuse testing program here. And I would never, ever use any kind of performance enhancers.
No, never.
So, like I said, specifically just for a friend.
Yeah. Right. All right. Let's move on. Last bit for today is Thursday preview series finale. God, we're hoping to split with the Royals. That's already a failure, especially since this was the white part of the schedule here with Cincinnati and Kansas City here. All right, we're going for a split, though. It's Mike Clevenger on the mound. It's Brady Singer. Brady Singer has had his struggles as well. What are we looking for? Series finale here.
Go out there and work some good at-bats like you did the first couple of innings here today. Brady Singer's had a couple of starts against the Sox where he's really mowed them down a little bit. But go out there and actually be selective, work a good quality, consistent plate approach. And Mike Clevenger, you got to throw strikes. Go after this Kansas City Royals lineup. You got a couple of guys in there that you really need to just be mindful of. Obviously, Bobby Witt Jr. and his speed at the top of the lineup. Sal Perez, if you don't throw him any cock shots, right down the heart of the plate here, you should be okay. He's going to swing at pretty much everything. He would fit in really well with the White Sox. And then MJ Melendez is a guy that hits the ball hard consistently. And Vinny Pasquantino, you look outside of those four guys right there, there's not a whole lot of pop in this lineup. So go out there, work ahead consistently. You got to get strike one with consistency and give yourself a chance.
Right. Yeah. And you said, this is what I'd like to take advantage of. You fucked up your chance tonight with Brad Keller, but Brady Singer, if I'm reading that correctly, he's got an 8.82 ERA. It's not the same sort of level of Brady Singer that has shut us down in the past. Okay. It's time to take advantage. Let's go out there and fucking set a tone for once. Come on. The game starts in the first inning. So get your mind ready half an hour before, like you're ready to attack it. Like it's first inning and then unload. Okay. Because you obviously saw went bitching in the ass today. And also Mike Clevenger will pitch better with the run support. I fucking guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it because this guy is going to walk some guys. It's going to happen because he's trying to get cute. And if the, whatever the breaking stuff isn't as tight as he possibly wants it or whatever, he's going to be overextending and there could be some issues with guys crowding up on the bases for Kansas City. So if one of those hits breaks through, if you already got 4 on the board, then hey, give up 2 runs at one point in inning and you're able to get out of it. You can still work through it, but you got to show up from the very fucking start. That's my rally call for them. Be ready to go at 110. I know it's not 710, Pedro, but be ready to go. Kick some ass out there because you do got a 710 when we come back home against the Astros. So prepare for it like that. That's what I've got. Pick the click. And then we'll get out of here.
I'm going to go with whoever starts at second base tomorrow. So whether that's Lenine Sosa, Elvis Andrus, whoever it is, whoever's at the Keystone, that's my pick to click.
All right. I am going to go with, I'll go with Andrew Vaughn. No reason. Just going with him. So, all right. That's about it for the show. We hope you enjoyed the vent session here.
A lot of these lately.
Like I said, on the YouTube comments here, we pick to click the other team. We got YouTube comments like this coming in here. Go and voice your concerns. Like you said, we want it to be an airing of grievances. Every day is December 23rd here in the Sox On Tap comment section. So to do that, go subscribe on YouTube on Tap Sportsnet. Hit the little alert button so you know when we go live, and you can share your angst with us in here. And then go and follow us on social media at Sox On Tap and at On Tap Sportsnet, and check out the website ontapsportsnet.com where we muse about these White Sox and other Chicago sports happenings from time to time. All right, Steve, that's about all I've got. Let's go out and fucking just salvage one. Be ready to go. Set the tone. Come back home with a win, and for better or for worse, we'll probably all be back out at the ballpark sooner rather than later. So that's all I've got.
Indeed, my friend. Yeah, the flight home will be a lot better, a lot more enjoyable if you can find a way to salvage this last one tomorrow.
All right. Sucked if you this podcast listener here, we got our guy Matt in the comments. He says at Sox On Tap. Have not heard that one before. That's actually original. I love it. I think that's a good way to close it down because we are cooked for the night. Until next time, White Sox forever.
White Sox for life.